Hello, everybody. My name is Emily Stafford, and welcome to the Bugging Out Podcast. In the last episode, we talked about what bugs are and why they're important. Today, we're going to discuss about how bug populations are being threatened. I'm joined again by Jim McNeil, a professor at the Smithsonian Mason School of Conservation.
But my background is as an entomologist, and I got my undergraduate degree from Cornell in entomology and my PhD in entomology from Penn State University.
First, I think it's important to note that estimating insect population is very difficult. There are millions of species all over the world, and some haven't even been discovered yet. Historical data on insect populations and funding for research is limited, but current studies can give us good overall estimations.
Yeah, like if you look at the relative proportion of it, there's something like 5,000 plus species of mammal in the world, and we feel like we have a pretty good handle on those, but they still come up with new ones all the time. But yeah, they're the scale of different, the number of insects is incredible. I mean, most ecology studies go down to the level of species just because it's not practical to do.
Yeah.
Overall, insect populations are declining 1 to 2% annually worldwide, and depending on geographic location and the state of the environment, it can be more or less dramatic in certain places. For example, in Great Britain, moth species have been thriving, while in New Hampshire, beetle abundance has been decreasing. So what's causing all the insects to disappear anyways? The answer is not simple. There are many different stressors to insects, and that can change depending on location, environment, and intensity. So it's difficult to narrow down just one single thing that is causing insect population decline. However, there are some common stressors that can be found across the globe, including climate change, which is the most universal stressor, pollution, insecticides, invasive species, habitat loss, urbanization, and deforestation. Other than climate change, the most apparent threat to insect populations is land use change. The term land use means the way we use our land, whereas land use change is how we change the land to fit our needs, such as clearing a forest to grow crops and graze livestock. Jim, do you think you could explain how land use change impacts insect populations?
Yeah, I think the biggest impact that land use change has on insects is that in general, when humans are modifying a landscape for their own use, it involves either a pretty constant or a pretty intense level of disturbance, and that doesn't give insects a chance to react or adapt to it. So if it's a really intense disturbance, say you are plowing a field under every spring, like really heavily tilling the soil and things like that, you're eliminating those insects that are in that top layer of soil that are living there, or maybe even more extreme, if you're paving over an area that is a hard line, they cannot react to that. But subtly, I think the other way that land use impacts insects is by constantly impacting the system. So like mowing a lawn, like all the time. We mow lawns for kind of aesthetic reasons, but that constant disturbance is going to limit the types of things that are able to live in that environment. So anything that needs a little bit more vegetative growth is not going to be able to survive. Or if you go in and you clean out the leaf litter, you clean out the woody material and sticks and things all the time, then the animals that depend on that are not going to be able to survive.
Land use change impacts insects in many ways. For one, it destroys habitats for insects and fragments the ecosystem, making it hard for insects to connect with each other during mating season, which in turn results in lower populations. Agricultural land use destroys natural habitat introduces non-native plants and invasive agricultural pests, and exposes insects to pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers.
One of the things that's happened with modern conventional agriculture is it's called clean agriculture, clean fields, and we've gotten rid of a lot of the in-between spaces between fields. And so like the woody hedgerows or the wildflower unmanaged places that were between fields maybe historically aren't there so much anymore. And part of that is, well, maybe they were refuges for pests, so we'll get rid of them so there'll be fewer pests coming in. At the same time, we've also reduced the habitat that the natural predators could exist in as well. They get pushed out, but then if they don't have anywhere to go, then they disappear. They either move from the area or the region completely, or maybe you even get something like a local extinction of a particular type of predator.
While 1 to 2% of all insects seem like a small amount, increasing intensity of land use change will most likely result in increased insect decline. However, not all hope is lost. We as individuals can take simple actions to help our local insect populations. In the next episode, I'll discuss ways we can help our bug friends. Thanks for listening.